Reason 13, big update, just getting released today. I've got the beta version here, and we'll definitely be getting the full version once it is out. And I'm quite excited about it because it has a feature I feel like was missing from Reason up to this point, and that is a really good browser. Honestly, I love using Reason as a rack device inside Cubase or Nuendo. And the reason I still use Reason inside another program is because I do so much video work. Right now I'm doing video game work. I do Paw Patrol Academy, which is a little iOS game, and I have another video game I'm working on. So I'm always using video inside my projects, and I just love how Cubase and Nuendo work for video. So that's why I was so excited when it went to the rack. Now I have to tell you, I am a Reason user from version 1. I did all sorts of crazy stuff with chopping and Rex loops back in the day in version 1 when it was kind of a hard thing to accomplish. So I remember going and showing Reason off at music stores and people would just be blown away by what you could do with the software. And Reason has been a part of my music production since the very beginning. But the truth is, the last few years, using Reason as a rack device, I wasn't finding myself going to look for patches in Reason because it was actually just so hard to find good patches. So with the new browser, we get this really easy, quick ability to find patches, to look through tags, and to make your own tags. And we're going to try playing with it just a little bit today, see if this is a deal breaker for you. I do have to say though, if you've been sitting on the fence with Reason for 20 years or whatever it is, maybe it's time to look at it, because not only do you get a huge batch of incredible instruments, you also get a huge batch of incredible effects that you can use with all of your stuff inside whatever DAW you like to work with. Now, aside from using it inside another DAW, it's also got some updates to the sequencer. And this has also been a huge thing that Reason users have been asking for years. Like years. And so it's great to see them giving the Reason users some love, giving them some really much needed updates and features to the sequencer. So very happy to see them doing that. I think it's just really important to take care of your customers first as a software company and not just try and branch out to all sorts of other users that you can bring into the fold, right? You got to go watch Ryan Harlan's videos. They're fantastic. All the ones that he's already got on Reason 13. I know there's some more coming. Ryan is just an amazing guy. I got to do an actual Reason hangout with Ryan a few years ago. So maybe I'll put a link to that in the description. All right, so let's have a look at what's kind of different here. Just the look of the software is just a little bit different. Over on the left-hand side, you've just got your devices, including, your virtual instruments that you've installed that aren't made by Reason Studios. So I could go over and drag in a Mini Brute V right here, this new synth from Arturia, and just drag it right in, and that's it. And I'm working with it inside Reason. And I love this look. Before they had the browser over on the left-hand side, this just makes things a whole lot easier to work with. Now I can go instruments, effects. We've got so many different effects in here. We've got utilities, like the classic old matrix pattern sequencer, which I've been playing with since I was a wee lad. And then we've got all of these players that are just beautiful ways of generating notes, generating chords. This chord sequencer is fantastic. In fact, we should just drag this right onto the Polytone here. And if we go over and change this to something like, let's go to Neo Soul. All right. Chord players are one of my favorite features in Reason, so definitely check out a video I've got on that one if this is something that kind of intrigues you. But let's just drop some in here so we can get some information going. And as we can see now, the sequencer looks a lot more like Cubase and Logic in terms of when you double click on it, you get all the notes down in a lower window as opposed to filling the screen like it used to. I like that. I'm just used to working that way in Cubase. So another thing that you've got now is just the ability to edit MIDI information in a much deeper and quicker way. You've got note length, all sorts of MIDI editing features that need to be in a DAW and have been desperately needed in Reason for a long time. So super happy to see that. So now let's go look at the browser. These are some of the things that I love about the browser. If we click on the browser right now, this pops up and we can see right off the bat, because we're in Polytone, Polytone, it's going to show us just the Polytone patches. So let's go to synths and let's try poly. So now let's go to the lo-fi category, try a couple of these ones out. Okay, I really dig that one. Let's go with that. What I'll do here is I've just got a favorites list and go to Lo-Fi Jeff, and that one is now in the Lo-Fi Jeff folder. I like that a lot. Now, what I would love to see is just a little star, maybe one more column that we could pull down that has a favorites star, so that when we open up poly patches in this Polytone synth, when we'll open up all of these, we can see right away, oh, there is one that I favorited. Or here's like, you know, a whole bunch of random ones in there that I've already given a star. And you can even just arrow down. They sound great. Let's go add another instrument. Maybe for this one, we'll look for bass patches. So I'm just going to click on the bass tag and then see what we've got. Okay, let's go with that patch right there. And we hit OK. Let's make one more polytone. And for this one, let's go to a synth, and then maybe we'll go to a pluck. Oh, I like that a lot. Now that we've got that one chosen, we might decide later we didn't like our bass. I go back to the bass, I click the browser for it, and we can see Polytone bass is still there. So it's like it's picking up where I was looking for patches before, which means I can go right back to where I was and try some different patches out from whatever criteria I've got in the browser, which is incredible. I don't know if any other browsers have that capability. And then we go back to the browse, and then we go back to the pluck here, and we can see that it's on synths and plucks, and all of that stays as well, which is super cool. So now we're over in Nuendo, Cubase, and this is how Reason looks if you're using as a rack device, which means you can just use it inside any DAW, load it up as a rack and use all these instruments, or you can also use it in the rack and use it as effects. So if you had, say, an audio track and you just hit the little E button here in Cubase, you go over to Inserts, and then you go over to Reason Studios and load up the Reason Rack Effect plugin. And then now you get to use all of the effects on anything in your Cubase project, which is fantastic. There's so much stuff in here. And as I was saying before, every device can be used in endless ways of combining and routing, and kind of mind-boggling the amount of stuff that you can do with the devices in Reason. Let's just load up a patch here in some other virtual instrument. So let's go to the Mini Brute V. So now if I hit the E button for that track, we go over here, we put on a Reason Rack device, and so let's go to this new stereo tool. Now let's turn that off. Turn it back on. Great sounding stereo widener. And as Ryan was saying in his video, this one doesn't work in a way that messes with phase, so that if you were to combine it into mono, you get all sorts of cancellation issues. This Sidechain tool, super cool stuff. Make sure you watch Ryan's video on that one. But look at this. We're getting like Sidechain type sounds. Then you can go and play with the attack, how fast this is jumping in volume. Anyways, there's so much fun stuff you can do with the Sidechain tool. You can also, of course, use it as a traditional sidechain where you have something else that's pushing the volume down. So every time your kick hits, it's pushing your volume down according to the parameters you set here. So this tool alone is going to get a lot of people very excited. Of course, they've got a subscription. So go get the subscription. It's like whatever it is a month. Try it for a month and see if you like it, and then cancel it if it's not working for you. But at that point, you can then decide, I want to buy it, because they still do allow a perpetual license, which I think is brilliant. Too many of us are just tired of subscriptions. So, I mean, that's my advice for you there. doesn't hurt for you to try it out for a little while, see if it's something you can get into. So let's just go add a space delay to this, another new device that comes with the new version of Reason. There's some really beautiful effects in Reason, so definitely worth checking out. So let's go back to the Polytone. We're gonna go back to synth patches, and we're gonna go back to plucks. I like some of these. I gotta say, this Polytone synthesizer is super cool. You gotta watch Ryan's video on it, it's fantastic. And there's so many cool things that you can do with the synth that I've never seen in other synthesizers. It's 2 layers, so you got this A and this B layer, and there's different ways to work between those 2 layers. You can work on a layer for a while and say, okay, I wanna put the exact same layer on B. So now the B layer is exactly the same as the A layer. Let's switch this to morph. And now this slider is going to morph between those 2 layers, which is different than mix. Mix just means, you get more of A or more of B. So he takes it up an octave. So now watch what happens when we morph between them. So it's kind of like pitch bend, but now let's set this morph thing to wheel. So you think, okay, well, that's just kind of like pitch bend, but now you could go do other things to this patch. And we could go to this B version of this one that I've got on A here. And actually, let's leave the filter here on B, and then on A, let's take the filter way down. So are you seeing what's happening here? It's morphing between those 2 patches. I've never seen anything like this. This is really freaking cool. There's so much stuff you can do with this new synthesizer. The browser updates, some of the new effects like the sidechain and the volume changes, those ones are also going to be very powerful in making your own instruments. And I'm just scratching the surface of Reason here because you can make a patch that has something like the sidechain in it, and you can save that inside something called a combinator. And the combinator is just a patch that holds a whole bunch of other devices, basically as many as you want. So you make these super complex patches, save them, and now you can load those up at any time. So that might be something like a sidechaining thing that does some volume adjustments on a synth pad, right? But you can use that on any synth pad. So the possibilities are quite endless with Reason, and I gotta say this new update has probably been my favorite update in a very long time. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new here, and please let me know in the comments if you want to see more Reason videos in the future. I'm not sure how many of my followers actually are using Reason or are curious about it, so let me know in the comments. Anyhow, I'll see you in the next video.